Hi people, welcome back to my YouTube. It's your girl Honey. So I'm doing a much requested video today, and this will be on the topic of having an 8th house moon. But before I get into that, just so you guys are aware, I am a Western astrologer. My website has just been changed actually. It's now called astrohoneys.com, as I'm working with 2 other astrologers and a couple other tarot card readers. So you guys are free to visit my website, book readings with me and my readers, and yeah, so just check it out. So I wanted to just make this video because it's been very much requested by you guys, and you know, I'm also an 8th house moon, so I wanted to just give you guys some tips on how to deal with having an 8th house moon. So just so you know, the 8th house is the original house of Scorpio. Scorpio rules Pluto, co-rules Mars, and the 8th house is the house of sex, intimacy, death, the rebirth, crisis, trauma, transformation. Did I say death? I think I said death. Other people's resources, joint finances, inheritance, taboo subjects, occult matters, banks and loans. This is the house that relates to other people. So before we even get into that, the 7th house. The 7th house relates to our relationships with our boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, business relationships, etc. And what happens is the 7th house goes into the 8th house, and that relates to my relationships after them. So that's what we see divorces, or we see long-term relationships forming. This house just relates a lot to life after or with this person, okay? When you start sharing money and stuff. So when you think about the moon now, the moon is our emotional fulfillment, foundation, home, security, mother, and this is a very intense place for the moon to be. So those of you who don't know, I have a Capricorn moon in the 8th house, and a lot of people look at that as, oh my god, that's so karmic, honey, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Because Capricorn moon, well, the moon's not very happy being in Capricorn either. But a lot of places you guys will read, you know, or look into, it will say the moon has a hard time being in the 8th house. And the reason why it has a hard time is because the moon is ruled by Cancer. So when you meet a Cancer moon person, a positive moon, you'll see that they become very emotionally expressive in how they feel. Having an 8th house moon, you're not so emotionally expressive with how you feel, especially if your moon is quincunx, your ascendant like mine. So what you see, because this is the house of I choose to hide. The 12th house is I'm unconsciously hiding. The 8th house is I choose to hide. So I choose to hide my emotional vulnerability from anybody. Whatever moon is there becomes hidden. Relationship with mum becomes hidden. A lot of people will post their parents on a Father's Day or Mother's Day. I don't do that. I don't post. My dad will get posted, but my mum will not get posted. I don't know why, but it's down. I feel like it's down to my 8th house moon. So take yourself back to being roughly, 7 years old. What happened at that time? You know, usually people who have 8th house moons at 7 years old, your family dynamics will have gone through a massive transition. This is the house of transformation. The moon sits in here. So we typically do see relationships with our parents crumbling a little bit, divorces happening, our homes changing, having to move. We see that as well. And having, as a child, maybe even having intense emotions and feelings a lot as well. The moon being in here, this house relates to power struggles, and it can give you some issues with other women, also your mum as well. But something has to go through a transformation here, through a crisis situation. When I was younger, and most teenagers have this relationship, but when I was younger, I didn't get on with my mum. I never got on with her. And it wasn't until I got into a long-term relationship with this guy who was a 8th house dominant person with Pluto aspecting his Leo energy all in the 8th house. And, you know, I brought him home to meet my mum, and he was at my house every other day. But I started talking to my mum so much more about my relationship, and it opened up this friendship for us. And she's been my best friend ever since, honey. She's my best friend. But for a lot of other people, they may not have that same relationship with their mum. 8th house can relate a lot to experiencing mum can pass at a young age. She can pass away, there's that. But there's also a relationship that needs transforming. So there needs to be, someone has to step forward. Either you or your mum has to start the transition of having a relationship improve. And it's not always easy, because it took for someone to come in, you know, for us to become closer. And for me to also have a Capricorn moon, Capricorn is a very distant energy. So I know my life, if I didn't meet him, I wouldn't be very close with my mum. I wouldn't, because I'm a Capricorn moon. I'm having to be responsible for things that I shouldn't be at a very young age. Things like that. But he came in, fucked up my life. But my relationship became like this. Okay? What I need you guys to also do, whether you are a man or woman, whatever you choose to identify yourself as, I don't care. But you need to associate yourself with other women. You see, the moon relates to women, typically mum as well, right? But this is the house of inheritance, being in receipt of other people's things. One thing I've noticed is that women like me. Let me not say they like me. I can have a lot of problems with women, but women will gift things to me, okay? So if I go out with a friend of mine or whatever, they may say, oh no, honey, I'll pay for that. And I'm like, no, it's fine. They're like, no, I'll pay, it's fine. It's like, okay, fine. But you see, you become in receipt of this house. And particular signs, especially with you having a moon in here, or let's say especially if someone else's Venus sits in your 8th house, okay? They will gift a lot of shit to you, man. You become in receipt of a lot of stuff from these people. 8th house, sex as well. Sex is more so down to the sign that sits in here, but the moon becomes very emotionally invested in whatever house it's positioned in. So when you have an 8th house moon, sex becomes an emotional exchange for you. Now, Aquarius moons or air moons, Capricorn moons, it may be a little bit different for you, because those particular moons can detach themselves from sex. But sex also becomes a massive, not a spiritual exchange. I mean, it depends what's in here. If Jupiter is in here, it's definitely a spiritual. It depends what's in this house. Let's just say it depends what's in this house. So the moon is about what makes it feel secure. So what makes me feel secure is sharing resources with someone. Now remember, the 7th house is the house of other people and our relationships, which then goes off into the 8th house. So with me and my partner, I'm not going to feel secure with him until he says, honey, let's put our money together. We want to buy a house. We want to set some goals. We want to do stuff together. And I'm like, yeah. I now feel so much more secure with him, because I'm putting my money where his money is, and we're working together. You see, the moon is about what makes me feel secure. And this is joint resources or other people's resources. So important that you are either in a relationship or you've got close relationships with other people, and they are willing to gift you things that makes you feel good. There can also be a sense of entitlement as well. When the moon sits in here, you may feel entitled to someone's things. The moon can also relate to your house, to houses, to land as well. And you know, I know that I'm going to inherit my mum's house, but 8th house moon people are likely to inherit from their mothers and inherit property or land as well. We can see money, but it's not just about houses, lands, but we see you getting things from other women. All right, so we done sex, death, transformation, rebirth, crisis, trauma, emotional fulfillment, foundation. I can't even think of anything else now that relates to the moon being, power struggles, manipulation. So 8th house moon people need to associate themselves, need to be careful of who they're associating themselves with, because the moon relates to the people you are emotionally invested in. And I guarantee with you having an 8th house moon, you will probably be very much involved in some type of plutonic type of relationship. So that will also make you feel secure. Intensity makes you feel secure. God, I got to do menstrual cycles as well, flipping out. You're going to be exposed to either a mother, family members, or relationship partners that are going to try to manipulate the emotions in you and make you feel bad. Growing up, I've got a brother and he used to make me cry. And I've got Neptune conjunct my moon anyway, but he'll make me cry because that made him feel good. But it used to really piss me off, because why would you want to see me like that? Why does that make you feel good? But it's down to the 8th house moon having someone that wants to just stimulate your emotions, but in a bad way, and make you feel bad. That's what the moon in here does. So be aware of your family, the people you're emotionally attached to, your relationships, other women especially, trying to manipulate you. And this is where you end up getting so involved in psychology. The 8th house and the 12th house both relate to psychology, especially having an 8th house moon. And a lot of people that do have 8th house moon, or even when Pluto is an aspect to the moon, it's a perfect time to go and seek a therapist, or even become the therapist. So you get involved in psychology, things like that. Now, menstrual cycles as well, we got to talk about that, because this is the house of intensity, and this is a very karmic house as well. And Scorpio co-rules Mars. Have a look and see what's happening with your Mars position, because Mars is also a massive indicator to show what your blood type is, or how your body is with its blood. So for example, I have a 8th house moon, and my Mars also squares my Pluto. I also have moon squaring my Pluto in my progressed chart right now. So right now my menstrual cycle is all over the fucking place. And even as when I was younger, it was all over the fucking place. And it's only just now, since Pluto squared my moon, it's just gone all over the place now, because it was fine before. But this is all temporary stuff. But as 8th house moons, we go through a lot of challenging menstrual cycles. It's just horrendous, you know. And we also inherit, God, flipping hell, we also inherit a lot from our mothers here, because this is the house of karma. So there will be something financially going on here. You got to look at your 7th house, look at your Venus as well. And for me, I've got Chiron in my 2nd house. And Chiron has a lot of associations with the mother. But 2nd house is about our money, our finances. And then we've got to look at the 12th house as well. So the 12th house is also a very karmic house, but it shows what energies you need to take out of that house and put it into your 10th house so everyone can see it. In equal, or in whole house system, an even equal house system, I have Taurus ruling my 12th house. And Taurus is the ruler of the 2nd house. Taurus also rules Venus. And the 2nd house relates a lot to our finances and our money. So Chiron sits in there, and Chiron doesn't oppose my moon, but it's in the opposite house to my moon. So my mum is also Gemini rising. She's got Taurus ruling her 12th house. She's got Chiron aspects in her Venus. So there's so much happening with her financially. And growing up, I've always felt like, Mum, I need more from you. I need more financially from you. And Mum also becomes a financial resource with you having the moon in the 8th house. Remember, this is the house of other people. So Mum becomes a financial resource. But this can also be an indication of your relationship with money and relying too much on family or too much on resources. Now, I've been okay for the last 3-4 years, so I haven't had to ask my mum for a fucking penny. But I tell you what, if I ever needed to, and especially to buy a property, I have to ask her. I have to, because properties are fucking expensive here. I've got to ask her to financially help me. If I ask her to look after my kids, she will do that. Mum becomes a resource for your needs, people. And that's why having planets in the 8th house, it's a blessing and it's a curse, because there's a lot of crisis and traumas associated with this house. You know, 8th house moon people may also be prone to miscarriages, experiencing losses, you know, losing your mum, even things like that. You guys, or we, are more prone to the dark side to things, but also being in receipt of things as well. So emotionally as well, 8th house moon people may also be very attached to tarot card readers, astrologers, you know, the whole spiritual world, okay? Because again, this is the house of occult subjects, you know, and this is a very intuitive position as well. When you have 8th house, 12th house and 4th house energy all relates to very strong intuition, empath energy, psychic abilities. All of that all comes from these 3 houses, these water houses. So we are inheriting so much from our mothers here. And that's what I was going to say before. Financially, you have to become independent, and you can't rely on your family all of the time. They have to have their life, you've got yours. As an 8th house moon, rely on your own money. And even when it comes to your partners, do not rely on their money. Don't you dare rely on their money. Get your own money. But yeah, that's basically it, I think. God, 17 minutes. Let me think if there's anything else. Sex becomes very up and down as well. So it's very similar to having Cancer in this house. It kind of relates a lot to